Officials in Taiwan have confirmed rumors that they plan to buy two Perry-class warships from the U.S. Now, the island is looking to phase out and retire its outdated Navy vessels starting next year, with these new frigates projected to join the fleet in 2014 and 2015. Now, the cost of the purchase is about $200 million, and one statement released by the authorities in Parliament quoted the head of the Defense Department as calling the transaction a good bargain. Now, that appraisal, of course, might depend on exactly where one is sitting while reading or hearing about this arrangement. Now, many commenters on Weibo aren't nearly as enthusiastic as administrators in Taipei, feeling that the move might deal an unwanted setback to what they see as a steady progress in cross-strait relations, and their displeasure is directed towards a number of entities. Let's take a look at a few comments from Weibo.
All that money is going to buy junk from the U.S. This is a way for Taiwan Island to pay protection money to the U.S. The U.S. is bullying Taiwan Island into buying their goods. Honestly, who would attack Taiwan Island? Why do they need the weapons? Taiwan Island is probably being coerced into buying American weapons. America is their master.
Now, instead of anger, some weighed in with sympathy towards Taiwan for a very interesting reason. Now, the ships the island wants to buy are currently on active duty with the U.S. Navy, and a number of posters feel that Washington is pushing its old boats off onto other nations and regions, especially in the Asia-Pacific zone, as part of a so-called protectionist fee. Now, a few even claim officials in Taipei could get suckered into becoming pawns in territorial disputes involving the Diaoyu Islands and various parcels in the South China Sea. And the majority would just prefer to see the deal scuffled. Well, let's take a look at a few of those comments.
Taiwan Island is once again buying weapons from their American masters as protection from us. No matter how the mainland protests against Taiwan Island for buying American arms, they will still continue to do it. They'd rather be under the control of Yankees than China. America develops and sells their weapons to other countries. I don't see this as something as a peacemaker would do. America contributes to the chaos.
Now, one rationale cited by administrators for agreeing to this transaction is the urgency of replacing two of the 8 Knox-class frigates Taiwan bought from the U.S. nearly 20 years ago. Originally commissioned in the 1960s, the American Navy took all of its warships from this group out of service by 1994. Now, several continue to cruise the world's waterways, however, thanks to purchases by Thailand, Egypt, Turkey, and Mexico, which made arrangements similar to the contract Taipei is set to finalize. And there are internet users with several other suggestions for the aging vessels. Let's take a look.
If America doesn't want these ships anymore, then they should just retire them. Don't sell your war machines to other countries. Instead of selling these ships to Taiwan Island, maybe put them on the market so any country can buy them, including China. These ships could be recycled and the raw material used to make new ships.
The U.S. Navy proceeded to replace the Knox fleet with the Perry frigates, named after the Commodore who won the Battle of Lake Erie during the War of 1812. And the oldest was commissioned in 1977, with the 71st and final ship completed in 2004. Now, in addition to Taiwan, some of the vessels have been bought and even built in countries like the UK, Spain, Egypt, Pakistan, and Australia. Now, the completion of the deal will bring Taipei's total number of Perry frigates to 10, while decreasing the number of Knox vessels in its employment to 6. And needless to say, some members of the online community will probably be thrilled if those numbers are ever reduced to 0. Let's take a look at those posts.
I think the world would be a much more peaceful place if America wasn't selling weapons around the world and installing governments they think would be more pro-American. Taiwan Island needs to man up and stop buying American weapons. I think China would be happy to help them, especially since we're on the same team of the Diaoyu Islands dispute. America wants to create tension. As long as other people are willing to point guns at each other, America feels safer.
Continuing with the maritime theme, the U.S. and Japan are currently conducting a series of naval exercises in the North Pacific Ocean. Scheduled to run from November 5th through 16th, the drills have been dubbed Operation Keen Sword. Now, while the two countries have long practiced military maneuvers together from time to time, this particular showcase raised eyebrows in China due to tensions over the Diaoyu Islands. In fact, the original agenda included a simulation of formations that might be employed to occupy an island, an item that quickly caught Beijing's attention. Now, Tokyo and Washington leaders scrapped those plans, possibly to avoid enraging China. And some respondents on Weibo welcomed this news and see the change as a small victory for diplomats in Beijing. Let's take a look.
China complained and now they stopped. That shows we're getting more respect. Now it's China's turn to flex a little muscle. Move over, America. Japan is afraid of making our relations worse, so I guess they chickened out.
Now, some of the more action-oriented users remain unsatisfied and consider the mere act of holding the exercise an affront of the worst possible kind from the U.S. and Japan. Now, it doesn't matter that they conduct joint naval drills on a semi-regular basis. Now, these posters, they feel that timing is everything and say that the controversy over the Diaoyu Islands could render all motives suspect. Let's take a look.
This is saber-rattling. What are they holding those drills for anyway? Against Russia? Probably not. Aliens? No. It's in anticipation of China. They are doing this to protect against their imaginary opponent. When will these two warmongers realize that China does not start wars? Historically, we never did, and we won't start now. What are they so afraid of? This is not how you promote peace in the East, going around brandishing your weapons in a threatening manner.
According to a report by Russia Today, China may indeed consider these maneuvers a provocation, but Washington and Tokyo insist that they have nothing sinister in mind and claim the entire event is just a routine follow-up to the 2010 version of Operation Keen Sword. Now, more than 37,000 Japanese troops are taking part, along with about 10,000 American personnel and an aircraft carrier. And meanwhile, high-level talks are also ongoing, with many people wanting both sides to give peace a chance. Take a look.
I think we should all just put away our little toys and use the resources to get our economy going, right? I honestly can't care less about the Diaoyu Islands. I don't see how having it will benefit me in any way. It's not worth going to war for. Who wants to give up peace to win over some craggly rocks in the sea? Not me.
The U.S. Armed Forces are also making headlines in East Asia for reasons that have nothing to do with military might. After an evening of drunken debauchery in the Russian port of Vladivostok on November 3rd, a frigate skipper and 3 officers were relieved of their duties and ordered to return to San Diego pending a full probe. Now, the potential consequences could include dishonorable discharges for all 4 men. Now, one night earlier, an American soldier stationed on the Japanese island of Okinawa was accused of wandering into an apartment building while inebriated and hitting a middle school student in the face before escaping through a window and passing out on the street. Now, some internet users in China believe these wayward troops might just be out of control. Take a look.
What do you expect from American soldiers? Most of them are teenagers with poor family backgrounds and little education. American soldiers have a pretty bad reputation. They are hard to control because they have a mind of their own. Our soldiers are more like robots. That's what happens when you get thousands of young men together and live at sea for long periods of time with lots of pent-up angst.
Now, the previous 2 incidents aren't even the worst recent scandals involving men in uniforms. On October 16th, 2 U.S. soldiers are alleged to have raped a woman in Okinawa. Now, the fallout from this case actually led American officials to impose a curfew for all troops there, an edict which the intoxicated face puncher obviously violated during his midnight misadventure, meaning he will likely face multiple charges. Now, the suspected rape is also dredging up memories of a 1995 crime in which several servicemen violated a 12-year-old girl on the same island and has the critics out in droves. But some see the American military's rapid response to these breaches of its code of conduct as a positive sign that such behavior won't be tolerated and punishment will be swift. Let's take a look.
At least they're being disciplined. When was the last time a high-ranking Chinese military officer was disciplined publicly? I hope that sets a tone for American military men in the future. Don't go around to other people's countries acting like you own the place.
So there you have it. Warships for sale, military exercises, and we're just getting started. Now stick around because we have a whole lot more from the world of online opinions as we continue with this episode of Microblog Buzz.